Bonjour, my name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV. This is the Eau de Vie edition, and we're on day number 8 of the Costco Wine Advent Box. Day number 7 was Chenin Blanc, and I'm a fan of Chenin Blanc. I think, if you're trying to, or if you want to build a collection of wines that allow you to have kind of a latitude in meal pairings or bringing over to people's houses or, different styles of food, I think a Chenin Blanc is a great wine to have on hand. If you have a Vouvray and you're going to bring that as a hostess gift, yep, they will like you, think about you fondly, and ask you, where did you get that wine? It was so delicious. Okay. Day number 8. Now, what are they going to do? Do you think it's going to be another white? They're going to back up the 2 reds with 2 whites, or are we going to flop back over to red? I'm going to guess red. I think there's a perception that red wines are more popular. I don't really know what's more popular. It's dark. It's red. It's Crowned Beast, a Saperavi from Georgia. Okay. I love it when they give me something new. Here it is. And yeah, I'm going to have to go back to the Great Book of Grapes and figure this one out. Let me consult the tome and then I'll be back to talk about it. So, of course, my excellent book, Wine Grapes by Jancis Robinson, had this in here, Saperavi, and it says quintessential Georgian variety producing deep colored, firm, initially tart but age-worthy reds. The word Saperavi means dye in Georgian, and it refers to its deep black skin, pinkish juice, and very old variety from western Georgia. When somebody says very old variety from Georgia, I mean they probably don't know enough evidence-wise to put it in a book, but very old could be thousands of years old. Georgia is north of Turkey. It's in the old part of the Soviet Union. When the Soviet Union broke up, Georgia became its own country. It borders Ukraine. It is thought, and it has been discovered, that there is evidence of winemaking in Georgia that dates back thousands and thousands of years. Why does it really matter? It doesn't. Who knows who made the first wine? Probably we'll never know, or we'll never know for sure. Grapes, when compared to beer, people often want to debate this with me. They say, well, what do you think came first, wine or beer? And I try to reduce that down to what seems more likely to be made first. Beer is made from barley, and you have to put it into a mash and get it to start to ferment, and then you can take that off and you drink the barley fermented juice. Grapes are, if you pick them ripe and you put them into a pile, they will squish themselves, and they come with yeast on their skins. That dusty stuff on a grape is got yeast on it. Those yeasts will interact with the sugars and they will start to ferment almost immediately. And so if you had a pile of these in a big clay vessel and you left it in the corner for a while, it would squish itself and turn automatically into wine without any intervention. That same clay vessel full of barley would have to have rain fall on it accidentally, and then you would get beer. So I do think that wine was made first by accident, probably, but beer not long after, because somebody thought, hey, let's just pour some water in here and oops, I forgot what I was doing, and now look at it, it's all bubbly and weird. But it's much easier for grapes to do it. You don't have to add anything for grapes to turn themselves into wine. And in Georgia, they've been drinking fermented piles of grapes for a long time. And it's nice. I really appreciate the wine box putting the quintessential Georgian grape in the box. That is very exciting. I have never tasted this before. It's brand new for you and probably for me and probably for you. Yeah, so you know what? Let's open it. This book is the etymology mostly, meaning the understanding of the names of wine grapes and the wine grapes that exist, not necessarily talking about the way the wines are made, the styles, or even the flavors. Very, very little advice about the flavors. However, it does say that this has a tar and dark fruit aroma. So let's see if we get that. I am a member of the American Association of Wine Economists, AAWE. I know something like that actually does exist. I'll put a link in the description to the Facebook page. They have an annual conference every year. I've never attended, but this year's conference was in Georgia, where they often do field trips, and they went out to see Georgian wines. Very interesting, an active group, and you can join it. It's easy to join. So shout out to the American Association of Wine Economists. If you're into anything weird about wine, like I am, then, give them a try. Okay, let's pour this and see what we have. So my initial thoughts are it's not particularly dark. Oh, you know what? I want to look at the alcohol percentage here. 12.5%. So we're not really talking about a big, crazy alcohol. It's not particularly dark. I can see through the wine. It is not cloudy. Doesn't look like it has any faults. So that's good. So it is medium ruby color. Wow, it is very aromatic. So there is definitely a tar or asphalt aroma here. But there's a layer of dark fruit, or maybe even a cranberry. It's slightly sharp on the nose. Okay, so I'm going to write tar and cranberry. All these aromas that you find in wine are naturally occurring. They are not adding any kind of essences into wine. This is what makes wine so interesting. The yeasts actually ferment it in a way that create all these new aroma compounds. And depending on the yeast strain, the other bacterial fermentation that you get in wine, which is called malolactic fermentation. Maybe I'll talk about that in the next few episodes. You can get all these different characteristics of aroma, and that makes the wine so interesting to continue to taste. So I don't know if this is exactly the way it's supposed to be with fermentation and style, but it is aromatic and it is red. I'm going to give it a 9 points because it did smell interesting, and my book said tar, and I got tar. Did that influence me? Maybe. I don't know. Okay, whatever. Let's taste it. Working through the chart, it's dry, it's medium bodied, its acidity is kind of fresh and crisp, actually. Both, it's bright, it's got a bright acid. So I don't know what the style of the wine's supposed to be. I don't know if it's supposed to be like this, but it's the way I perceive it. So I'm going to give it an 8. The acidity is nice. The balance is straight out good. We can tell because there was no alcohol burn. There's no chokiness from the acidity. The wine had flavor. The tannins are smaller, a little less grippy. A very interesting wine. I'll give it an... See, again, it's really hard to judge this when I don't know if it's perfect harmony with variety and style. I'm a little bit guessing because this is my very first Saperavi, my very first ever. So I'm going to err on the side of generous and give it a 9 for balance because I found absolutely nothing in the fault. Now, complexity are aromas that I perceive, new flavors and aromas once I take it into the mouth that isn't just the smell. It's deep. It's got nice round tannins that are slightly small, slightly grippy. This would probably go great with fatty food or protein-rich foods or greasy foods like a cheeseburger. Is there multiple distinctive flavors? No, but there's some, so I'm going to give it a 6. The finish is long. Generally, the longer the finish, the higher the score. The shorter the finish, the lower the score. And a low score on finish, you might find some faults, like a metallic taste or something. If you had that, you would give it a low score. This has a long finish. The tannins smooth out or release slowly from my mouth. I think it's pretty good. I'll give it an 8. Okay, I'm going to go do my math. The scoring chart is a difficult master. You really have to score extremely well. You know, if you gave it 1 point off, 9's all the way down, it'd still only be a 95-point wine. You'd have to have all 10s to get to 100 points. That's obvious. But it really hurts a wine if it just drops below a point or 2 on each category, and then you get your 80-point wines. But our Georgian Saperavi, here's how I scored it. Aroma, 9. Acidity, 8. Balance, 9. Complexity, 6. Finish and length, 8. That's 40 points. Add that to 50, 90 points. Now, this is the first time I've ever had the wine, but that was my general impression out of the box. And I scored it as I thought about those concepts. That's the important thing to remember. And I like this wine. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to go try the next cheese out of the cheese box, and we'll see how it pairs out. Depending on the cheese that we get for it, those tannins that were quite smooth could go completely away and disappear and be beautifully soft, velvety wine. I hope that happens. That'll be a really nice surprise. Okay, if you've enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing. And of course, I will be back tomorrow for day number 9. Until then, I say a tout there and cheers.